Greetings! Anton here with a hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades devlog for you. It's going to be a short one today as, well, I'm mainly taking the week off, mainly just to get both recover, but also just to do a bit of reorganization and planning for what is going to be the last 3 months of the year. And so I figured now would be a pretty good time to give you a little bit of a short roadmap for what to basically expect over October, November, and December to the best of my ability. Those of you who've been following along for a while know that I've got generally a pretty crystal clear plan going about 2 weeks out, and then sort of gets fuzzier the further out you get from there. So, but anyway, I want to talk to you basically the sort of 4 topics that are of primary concern in terms of what has to happen in the next 3 months. And then there's a bunch of might happen based on how things go. So, the first thing actually relates to controls and is relevant, I think, to most platforms. So, obviously, just a little bit of a history lesson. As most of you know, H3 was initially developed for these. 4 wands, or namely for a nice big touchpad. And for a host of reasons, some of them reasonable and some of them things that get Anton grumpy, over the past almost 5 years of working on this game, the industry as a whole has moved further and further away from this, insofar as just a smaller and smaller percentage of controllers over time are going to have a touchpad of any kind. And this includes both the fact that HTC has gone away from a touchpad. Theoretically, the new sort of WMR platforms are moving away from even having one present, as the Reverb G2 controllers mimic the touch controllers in their configuration, and that it's B button, A button, and a stick. No extra touchpad on there. And let's be frank, the thumb pad on even the index controllers. Some people have the right shape of thumb, like myself, where it's trivial to use it in a 4-quadrant way, and other people have hand dimensions that make it much harder. So with that in mind, I have decided to make a mode, note this is not removing anything from the game, a mode, a sort of top-level control mode that you will be able to play H3 in, called Streamlined controls. It'll be something you'll be presented with basically when the main menu scene initially loads for the first time. They'll be streamlined and there'll be simulation. Simulation controls will work exactly how they have thus far, in that they use a 2-axis input so that you've got lots of separate options for the thing in your hand. And then Streamlined will basically dedicate the joysticks purely to movement and move weapon function, or the most important weapon and object function, to the B and the A buttons, and things that can't be represented will just not be able to be done if there is not sort of also an interaction point where they can be manipulated on the hand. I'm still working out the exact sort of like spreadsheet for this. I went through and did like a Control-F search, touchpad axes in my code base, copied an entire list of classes in the game that use that input at all, loaded them into a spreadsheet, and I'm in the process of basically going, okay, what's the B button going to do? What's the A button going to do? What's the trigger going to do? And then what is going to be dropped, and then ensure that the object can still have all of its most important functions still work. This will be a control option that will be available to every controller that has an A button, a B button, and doesn't have a touchpad. Actually, no, it's just A button and B button. So basically, first-gen WMR controllers will not be able to get this mode because they only have an A button, and they already have a touchpad that works. And Vive ones will not have this because they have a menu button and a touchpad and nothing else. So pretty much this will be, so if you're an index player and you're sick of the thumb pad controls, there will be another first class option for you. If you are on any platform where you have to use the joystick to manipulate weapon function, there will be an option for you here as well. And the goal is both to answer a lot of the requests and demands that folks have had, who are totally in the right that this game is suboptimal to play if the only option you have for weapon function is using a joystick. It's not a touchpad, it makes a bad touchpad. But also, frankly put, there are a lot of folks who bring in VR novices or have like parents or grandparents that they want to bring into H3 and be like, hey grandpa, tell me, is this Milsurp rifle feel as terrible as the real thing? And H3's controls are not super friendly for that. So without in any way distracting from the simulation that's in the game and the options that you have, I wanted to create an alternative for most users that allows them, especially for it's how to put it. It has been difficult for me to even conceptualize a lot of these things because I'm not a twin stick VR locomotion person. I can't, if I strafe in VR, I have to take my HMD off within a minute or two of doing that. I've never been able to get the VR legs to be able to handle that. I'm an arm swinger person, and so I've always been fine using a 2-axis input. But I know that this is not representative of the whole user base, and frankly put, might even be representative of a shrinking part of the user base, because, as I said, controllers are evolving, and Facebook's design with a joystick and 2 buttons has become the dominant design pattern for VR controllers. And frankly put, with the launch of the Quest 2, whether us PC VR users like it or not, in 12 to 18 months, they'll probably be the majority of all VR users playing games on Steam VR. And so, grumpy old Anton here should probably do something to better accommodate that. So that's what I'm doing in terms of the control stuff. This is going to be available in that work in progress section of the options probably next update. It won't be fully done because, as I said, I've got like 100 some places in the code base to sort of write this extra control path in. It's going to be very hard coded, in part because one thing that I've learned from H3 is that as the user base has gone from mainly enthusiasts to more average gamers, the percentage of people who like open an options panel and are willing to actually configure their options has gone like this over the past number of years. And so the Streamlined controls are pretty much not going to be configurable at all. The whole point is that they just work out of the gate and don't need futzing beyond that. So, but you'll be able to turn them on and try them out probably in the next update. So that's topic 1. Little wordy. I'll try to speed this up because I know I'm rambling. 2, it's Spooktober! And so next week is going to be, usually a little earlier than usual, is going to be our sort of like Halloween update. You could say that it's going to be a fairly cursed one. Just putting that out there. It's going to be super fun. I've got some new toys, and I've got... yeah, I'm not even going to hint at it. I don't want to spoil it. But that's going to be fun. So that's going to be available next week. It's going to be just a full-blown update, not an alpha. So that's going to be consuming me for the next week. And then following that, what I want to actually spend a good chunk of the rest of October working on is, especially because H3 is going to get sort of 2 big user spikes in the coming months. The people who I have just ordered Quest 2s, that's going to probably be a huge user spike. And then again, for Christmas, will be an enormous user spike. And so I think finally, oh my goodness, almost 5 years in, we're finally going to try to get a tutorial of some kind into this game. And so that is finally going to be present there. It's going to be a new scene, and so hopefully it will actually be interesting and fun, even for those of you who are already versed in the game. But it's certainly something that I'll be looking for some feedback on. And along with that, because there's this sort of alternate control modality, the way that control information in general is going to be conveyed to you as a user is probably going to change as well. I might load it into the wrist menu in some form and take it back out of the item spawner. I'm still trying to figure that out exactly. But that's also on my docket, is to finally clean some of that up, see if we can tune the item spawner a little bit along the way. And then last is obviously going to be the holiday content for this year. Now, I know in the past, every other year, I have done an advent calendar. I need to double check. I'm still, how to put this? I would like to do another advent calendar, but the last one that I did sort of blew up back in my face because of the size that updates need to be. I got actually a pretty depressing number of like really angry messages from folks and negative reviews for the game at the time for pushing daily updates. Some obviously lots of people enjoy it, but apparently for people with slow internet connections or just who hate having their Steam games update was enough to get a bunch of people angry at me. So I need to figure out. I might make a new beta branch. Obviously, that's a little suboptimal because only a small fraction of users know to even switch over to that. So yeah, so I need to figure out exactly what I want to do, but it's definitely going to be a toy-filled holidays, regardless of the exact like update cadence that I end up picking for it. So yeah, so that is my ramble. That is pretty much one. Obviously, that doesn't mean other things aren't still happening. I'm still working on Game Planner, but it's UI work. I have to do lots of UI and database work, and I'm just going to be slogging away doing UI and database work for the conceivable future. I will show you more of it when it's exciting and functional enough to actually see. And just so you're aware, the other folks that I'm working with, we've got content that is going on parallel for new levels and new scenes. I will, once again, when that is at a previewable state, I'll actually show some pictures in the devlogs here. I've shown a couple art. I've leaked a few little like art testy pictures in the Discord of some of the stuff that I'm working on. But yeah, when that's all ready, that will be a massive update for the game. Who knows, that might even constitute update 100 based upon where things end up hitting cadence wise. But obviously it's that stuff is all fuzzier deadline and timing wise, because I'm always sort of like, I sort of prioritize the work that's on a cadence and then on off days slot in the other work so that I don't feel pressured and that it's more relaxing to work on. So there I go, rambling again. Clearly I have had enough coffee today. So I'm going to leave you all folks now. I hope this was informative and not entirely boring. And as a consolation anyway, I'll have some new fun stuff for you folks next week. It will be spooktacular. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Peace.